What's good, everyone? Welcome to the We Got Action podcast. Please give us a like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more content.
Trade down, trade up for superstars, whatever the case may be. But we'll definitely do a recap of the NBA draft as it concludes this week. So we'll definitely do that for the next episode and see if we have any surprises. Now, quick thing, what I want to go over is so imagine let's put our ownership caps on, our front office caps on real quick. We'll go through this one real quick here. We won't drag it on or anything like that, but when going to make a pick or a scout or scouting for your pick, what are you looking at as an owner or a GM? Are you looking at how they play? Are you looking at the size and the potential, their stats, or a combination of all of them? So let's go with I want to hear Isaac's point of view on this first.
I was gonna throw a couple more things in
Yeah,
there
go ahead.
too.
Yeah,
Is it gonna be the fit? Are you gonna be looking for like a best available? Is it gonna be somebody proven? Is it gonna be somebody with this like stupid ceiling that's just like could be the greatest player of all time? Like what are you looking at?
I think I'm looking at terms of fit, but also
I like
if
that.
I'm looking at terms of fit, who coached them before, and and I want to watch that kid and see if he's coachable.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I'm coming to recruit already a kid, I think he has the talent. If I'm coming to see you as an owner already, but it's the little intangibles that I need to see. Can he be coachable? Which is I think is a bigger thing with Golden State. Though every guy on that team is coachable, which is why you can get better.
There's no egos.
No egos. Second, that's another big thing. Do you have an ego? Do I feel like you're gonna be a locker room cancer for me? And that goes along with fit. How do you fit with my core group of guys that I'm bringing you in with? And then I think about what my team really needs. And I think, and that goes, and then my last thing is how you play. I think you got to have like a go-get-it attitude when you're on the court, like a Russ attitude almost.
Yeah.
Like, show me that on the defensive end consistently.
Yep.
I shouldn't have to come and question your motor. Like, if I question your motor or lack of aggressiveness, then you can't be on my team.
I think there was the interview with Brad Beal when he's talking to his AAU team. He's talking to them about like it's not about getting points. Like I don't care about your stats. I don't care about you getting 20 a game. I care about how can you help us win. And I think that's one of the biggest things and why I like draft. I like when teams draft for fit because I think it's they grab people that they can see can help them win. And that's my opinion. Like if I was a manager, I'd be drafting for my team. I mean, obviously when you're number one or two, like the guys are there, that's a different story. But like when you're in the spot that like for our teams, like the Bulls and the Suns nowadays are going to be in, like I think they draft fit wise. How can they help us win and plug holes that we have?
What you got, Vitor?
I was gonna say it kind of really depends on where you're picking. Your methods will change a lot because when you have a number one overall pick, you don't want to take the guy who's going to fit best because you're going to need that guy who's going to be that guy, right? So you're going to be taking that home run swing. You don't care about that contact swing. It's going out of the park or you're striking and popping out. You know, it's an out or it's a home run. I think as you move down, you start considering more things like fit, like things like coachability and intangibles. But I think when you're at the top, you have to aim for the stars. And obviously I think as fans, it's a little different than as a true GM when they're sitting in there.
No.
The decisions are actually being made. Yeah. Like your decision is actually what's going to have consequences, not somebody sitting like obviously us behind a mic being like, yeah, I'd pick so-and-so. Why didn't they do that? Like we don't have consequences. They do.
So Vito, quick question for you. So what you like in those top three teams, like, I want to say it's top three teams because that's when I feel like you got those solidified top three guys.
Usually,
I think when you can even get into fit by squeezing in the top three guys because those are like everybody that name that revolve like in that top.
That's what we did with Chet,
of course.
With Chet, and but I think even with Chet and Jabari and Paolo, we just did that. I just think I think a lot of these teams sometimes don't look at that and they just grab who's like literally the best prospect, and then when you get that prospect, you just wasted his time basically.
But I mean, I think when it comes to fit too, I think nowadays in the NBA, because everything is becoming so fluid and guys are playing 2, 3, 4 positions, the fit aspect is a lot less based on your size and more based on what you're capable of doing or what you could potentially be capable of doing. I think a guy like Jabari Smith, who's kind of viewed as a tall wing right now, if he were to, bulk up put on a little bit more size, you could see him as kind of like a true stretch four then, kind of a guy who can play inside out if he develops a better inside game. But I think a lot of times when you're picking in the lottery, you say top 5-ish or so, you're looking a lot at what can they be. You're not looking at who they are, aside from things like, you're not going to be taking the guy who could be the next MJ, but is also, a psychopath. You're not going to be taking them at number one, but because you don't want to take that risk. But when it comes down to it, you have to, taking risks are how you get, how you're successful in the NBA. The Warriors took a risk on Steph Curry and his chronic ankle injuries, and he's put them mostly behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think you got to take risks to be successful in sports, whether it's in the draft or in your contracts and whatnot. So I think at the top, you're really, really looking at potential. And then as you move down the draft, you're looking less on potential, more on what can you give me right now? How can you fit into my team, and what can you contribute to our ultimate goal of winning a championship?
Yeah, I like too the proven aspect. What Isaac was touching on, like, who have you played for, whether it be in college or elsewhere? Like, what have you actually, like, what can I actually, and you touched on it with Shade Sharp, like, what have you actually done, and what can I watch and see what you're going to offer for me? I like players that have already proven and been good, a little more than like a potential thing, like, with like a Kyrie or something, or like a Wiseman who played very minimal games.
Yeah. And then at least for me, that's one thing I'm glad Vitor like expanded on it even more, was that when you're up in the like first 3 picks, like you at that point, you're not looking, like, obviously you're looking to see if they have a good attitude and all that, but you're putting the potential way over their intangibles. And then as you stated, when you get lower in the draft, you're able to at least be patient to a point, unless you need an absolute like NBA ready prospect, like we've talked about within the lottery, like some like legit NBA ready that can contribute day one in the rotation, whatever the case may be. Yeah. But if I'm somebody who's looking, if I'm a GM, a scout, or whatever the case may be, I want to combine all of those things. I want to see that if you don't get the ball on one play, are you mad? Are you calling somebody out if the possession doesn't go your way? Are you able to be coachable? As Isaac said, there's a lot of good players in this league, but on certain teams that they're very, very coachable. Organizations you can point out is definitely Golden State, even one in San Antonio. They have not been good, these last handful of years, ever since Kawhi left, Tim Duncan and that dynasty had gone away. But you've seen that even being on a bad team, if you can be coachable, that you are going to be successful in the league. But again, you guys touched on all of it, but at least for me, it's showing that you can put everything together, that even if something doesn't go your way, you're still able to impact the game in a positive way. Whether that is scoring, whether that's playmaking, whether that's on the defensive end. So, but that's at least where my mind is at with it, covering everything that you guys have talked about as well. So
I was gonna ask a question that kind of incorporates both Isaac's and Vitor's opinions. So let's say, you're at you're saying top 3, 4, 5, you're still hitting home runs, and Isaac's saying you can go for fit in a top 3 or 4 or 5. And I think both is accurate. But let's say, I don't know, you're the Pacers and you need, obviously you need that front court, but let's say the front court's gone, the top home run hitters front court, they're gone. So do you then try to find a fit, or do you just draft the best available? What do you guys think on that? You know what I mean?
At least
if what you need is gone, are you then going to trying to hit a home run? Or if what you need is there, are you going to draft a fit? You know what I mean?
I think at least for me is that, so let's say, let's use Indiana as an example. So we know that their backcourt is at least kind of set for the time being. If they do keep Malcolm, they do have TJ McConnell. They got Tyrese, Chris,
if the forwards are gone,
that's what I'm saying.
Try and hit a home run with a guard. Would you guys do that?
Yeah, that at least for me, there are guard, for example, if we're just focusing this draft, let's say Indiana Pacers, just to point them out. I think you do have fit players that both can fit defensively and scoring wise. So I think that you're trying to look for players that one will fit, but more so on both ends of the ball, and that are most NBA ready. That's at least where my mind goes, is that, okay, our bigs are gone, but you know what? We do have other fits here on the wings. We can choose. Let's choose between Johnny Davis and Ochai. I feel like with those two, you can't really go wrong there. They've proven, and you've seen what they can actually do. So I think it's more so that you're looking for more, I guess, of the complete fit, because I think how Isaac and Vito were getting into it, when you're looking at fit, it's like, okay, he can definitely help us with scoring, but he does lack defensively, or vice versa. But when you're kind of getting into like where, okay, all of our prospects are gone, let's see who is the best fit on both ends. That's at least where my mind goes with it when I'm looking at a player and things like that. So
with me, I'm thinking of taking. It depends on what I have left. So, like, if I'm in a pacing spot and I'm early and I still got that second round pick, if I'm looking at who fits the best and I know he's not coming in no time soon, and I'm not going to waste an early pick on something that I know I can get like later in the draft. I would rather try to get to what's best available, because it might be something that I needed, or it could have been something covering up. Like, I can't be rocking with TJ McConnell for too long if I'm a pacer.
Right, exactly.
Like, Tyrese Halliburton can be that 1-2, and he knows how to put the ball on the floor. And he had to play the 2 a little bit with Malcolm Brogdon, so he understands what he has to do. So I can hit a home run with a guard if I have to, and he understands that.
So you're I guess you're open to being adjustable, because I mean, obviously I think manager or GMs in front offices need to be able to do that in a draft, because I mean, you know, mocks it's not going to happen exactly how it's been panned out. So like teams are going to, I think we saw that a lot in the NFL draft. Teams are going to be able, like, they're just going to reach, you know what I mean? Some teams will reach. So I was just curious to pick your guys' brains on what your ideas were on that.
But that's why they do pre-draft workouts and interviews and things like that,
multiple
right? The
options.
Stuff that we don't see, right? Is they're getting to know the players both on the court and off the court, to see how they fit into the locker room, how they fit on the court, and things like that we don't see. You know, we'll saying that, like, for example, Mathurin having his great workout with the Pacers, right? We can read the reports, but we don't know what it means. We don't know that it means they want Mathurin at all costs, or that if their number one option at 6 is gone, then they want Mathurin. You know, we don't just because they're in love with him doesn't necessarily mean that he's their guy. He just might be their next guy.
Stuff we don't see.
So I think that's where all the behind, like, the pre-draft work stuff really comes into play. And that's and that's where I think you're meeting these guys to have a better understanding of, all right, I know what this guy does on the court, but who is he off the court, and what does he, if I ask him to do this in a workout, can he do it, because this is what I need from him, even though he hasn't necessarily shown it in college or overseas or wherever he's been at prior.
Yeah, I feel you. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a great conversation to have, at least to, you know, try and point out like the difference between a casual versus someone who actually watches the game, and then also versus somebody who's actually in the trenches, who's scouting. And and I'm sure, I don't know if y'all seen the movie Hustle with Adam Sandler, kind of getting.
Watched it yet.
I was told this
beautiful movie
to watch.
Is it?
It's a
amazing
great movie.
It's a good movie
Adam
because
Sandler.
it shows that really what I mean, into the life of a scout, what they really go through, but also like how you can find that diamond in the rough. So anybody who's listening, and then also you guys as well, but if you have not seen it,
tell Netflix to pay you, Danny.
We got some homework.
free sponsorship.
Hey, Netflix got their own problems.
No, man. But yeah, I mean, just to kind of wrap all that up. So we're actually going to save the Pacific Division for